Marley was dead to begin with, dead as a doornail. There was no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial had been signed by Scrooge himself, and his name was good for anything that he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. But first, let me tell you about Scrooge himself. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstones, he was. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, and stiffened his gait. He iced the office of his counting house in the hot days, and he certainly didn't thaw it 1 degree at Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Uncle. God save you.
Ah, humbug.
Christmas a humbug, Uncle? You don't mean that, I'm sure.
I do. Merry Christmas. What right have you to be merry? You're poor enough.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Tomorrow is Christmas Day. Come and dine with us.
I'll see you far enough. Good afternoon.
But why not? We've never had any quarrel, to which I've been a party.
Good afternoon.
Well, you'll be very welcome. Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
Even though he was freezing to death in his unheated corner of the office and earned only 15 shillings a week. In showing the young man out, however, Bob Cratchit let 2 other people in. They were portly gentlemen and greeted Scrooge in a friendly way.
This festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, we like to make some provision for the poor and destitute. Many thousands are in want of common necessaries.
Are there no prisons?
Oh, plenty of prisons.
And the union workhouses, are they still in operation?
Yes, indeed. But many can't go there, and many would rather die.
If they'd rather die, then they'd better do it and decrease the surplus population. Oh, good afternoon.
Oh.
At length, the hour of shutting up his counting house arrived. With an ill will, he dismounted from his stool and tacitly admitted the fact to his clerk, Bob Cratchit.
You want the day off tomorrow, I suppose.
If quite convenient,
It's
sir.
not convenient, and it is not fair. If I was to stop half a crown for it, you'd think yourself ill-used, I'll be bound.
Well, it's only once a year, sir.
Bah! Humbug!
Scrooge went off to his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, and having read all the newspapers, went home to his bed. His house was old and dreary, for nobody lived in it but Scrooge, the other rooms being all let out as offices. As he opened the door, he suddenly started, for the door knocker seemed to leer at him through the fog, and the face of the knocker had changed to the face of his one-time partner, Jacob Marley. And Jacob Marley had been dead as a doornail for 7 years. Scrooge hurried up to his room and locked the door behind him.
Gracious me, what's that? All the bells ringing this time of night?
The clanking of heavy chains up the stairs, along the passage to the locked door of his room. A ghostly figure suddenly appearing through the door and standing there in front of him. No need to ask who it was. It was the ghost of Jacob Marley. Marley in his pigtail, usual waistcoat, tights and boots, clasping a chain about his middle, a chain made up of cash boxes, keys, padlocks, and heavy purses wrought in steel. But a Jacob Marley that was transparent.
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
You are fettered. What is that chain you bear?
I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it link by link and yard by yard, and of my own free will I bore it. Would you know the weight and length of the chain you bear yourself? It was full as heavy and as long as this, 7 Christmas Eves ago, and you have labored on it ever since.
Jacob, speak comfort to me, Jacob.
I have none to give. I am here tonight to warn you that you have yet a chance and hope of escaping my fate, Ebenezer.
You were always a good friend to me, Jacob. Thank you.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
Haunted? I think I'd rather not be, Jacob.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first one tomorrow when the bell tolls 1.
Couldn't I take them all at once and have it over, Jacob?
Expect the second on the next night at the same hour. The third upon the next night when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate. Look to see me no more, and look that for your own sake you remember what has passed between us.
The spectre vanished. In fear and trembling, Scrooge undressed and went to bed. By the time he had fallen asleep, it was past 2 o'clock in the morning. When he woke, it was still pitch dark, but he heard the clock of a neighboring church distinctly striking 12. 12? Midnight? Good heavens above, he'd slept the clock round almost twice. It was tomorrow night already, and when the clock chimed the next hour, the first of the three spirits would appear. Scrooge lay there in his bed in the dark and waited, considering that he could no more go to sleep than go to heaven. Suddenly the curtains of his bed were drawn aside, and Scrooge, starting up in his bed, found himself face to face with the unearthly visitor who drew them back. Are you the spirit, sir, whose coming was foretold to me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past. Rise and come with me.
Why, I know this place. I was a boy, and that house there, it's where I went to school.
Strange that you have forgotten it for so long. The school is not quite deserted. A solitary child is still there, neglected by his friends.
Is it me?
It was you, but listen.
Dear brother, I've come to bring you home for Christmas. Yes, home for good and all. Home forever and ever. Father's so much kinder than he used to be that home's like heaven. Last night he said you might come home and sent me in a coach to bring you, and we're to have the merriest time in all the world.
My little sister, she had a large heart. Poor little sister.
She died a woman and had children, I believe.
One child.
True, he is your nephew.
Once more, the spirit led him away, back through the night into the city they had left. It was plain enough by the brightly lit shop windows that it was Christmas time again. They stopped before a warehouse door.
Why, that's old Fezziwig's place, where I was apprenticed. And dear old Fezziwig, bless his heart, alive again.
Yo-ho there, Ebenezer. Dick, no more work tonight. It's Christmas Eve, young Ebenezer. Let's have the shutters up before a man can say Jack Robinson. Hilly-ho, clear away, my lads. Hilly-ho, Dick. Cheer up, Ebenezer.
All was done in a moment. Everything moved out of the way, the floor swept and watered, the lamps trimmed, fuel heaped on the fire, and the warehouse turned into as snug and warm a ballroom as you could desire to see on a winter's night.
A small matter to make these silly folks so full of gratitude.
Small?
Why isn't it? He's only spent some 3 or 4 pounds of your mortal money. Does that deserve such praise?
It isn't that, Spirit. He had the power to make us happy or unhappy, to make our service a pleasure or a toil. Oh, dear.
What's the matter?
Nothing particular. I should just like to be able to say a word or two to my clerk just now, Bob Cratchit. There is. Remove me from this place.
These are the shadows of things that have been. If they are what they are, don't blame me.
No, remove me. I cannot bear it. Take me back. Haunt me no longer. Awaking in the middle of a prodigiously tough snore and sitting up in bed to get his thoughts together, Scrooge did not need to be told that the bell was again upon the stroke of 1. He felt that he was restored to consciousness in the nick of time for the special purpose of holding a conference with the second messenger dispatched to him through Jacob Marley's intervention.